So thanks everybody for taking some time on a Wednesday that's filled with lots of things going on and coming out. I just wanted to take a few minutes and give everyone a thorough update on the winter storm results, activities, and challenges over the course of the last 5 days. I also want to make sure everybody understands there's another one coming and that we're getting ready for that as well. I have expressed an immense amount of gratitude to our emergency management teams across the Commonwealth, from the reactions to Hurricane Helene all the way through to now. We've been busy. And I just, again, want to thank everyone from VDOT to the National Guard to all law enforcement, from first responders to local teams. I just want to thank everybody, our healthcare workers, everybody for pulling together and doing exactly what we need to do when there's an emergency, and that is to prepare, to pre-position, to then act and serve, and then to work afterwards to make sure that we're recovering as fast as we can. Just to step everybody back, last Friday I issued a declaration of a state of emergency in advance of what we knew was going to be a big snowstorm. And it was a big snowstorm. And when it blew through, really starting on Sunday in Southwest Virginia through the state, we were well prepared. But it was a big storm. And let me just give you a little bit of the framing. We saw heavy snow and ice across the Commonwealth. Almost the entire state saw some activity. We had pre-positioned. We had moved about 9,000 pieces of equipment for VDOT, and we had pre-treated our interstates, our primary roads, and a lot of our secondary roads in a very precautionary and important preventative way in advance of the storm. The VDOT team was amazing. These 9,000 pieces of equipment that were utilized at the peak of the storm went to work. And I do think as you look across the Commonwealth, we in fact were clearing roads and even down to black pavements incredibly quickly. And so I just want to thank everybody's first heeding. Virginians were great in this. I asked everybody, stay off the roads. And we saw traffic volumes on Monday and Tuesday that were 30 and 40% of what they normally are. And so thank you, because that allowed our teams to be out on our primary roads, our interstates, even our secondary roads in order to do the work. Thank you. The storm also knocked out a lot of Virginians' power. At its peak, we had 120,000 Virginians that lost power. We still have over 12,000 Virginians without power. Our utilities have been working around the clock. They too pre-positioned substantial resources, and they're working to close out those 12,000 Virginians who I know are frustrated and tired and cold to get their power back on. I unfortunately believe there will still be a few thousand people overnight that are going to have to, unfortunately, endure another night without power. The primary areas that we saw the larger power outages, of course, were in Franklin County, Bedford County, and Campbell County, although we had power outages in other places. And the combination of Dominion resources, APCO resources, and resources from the cooperatives have been working around the clock. I will again remind folks, if you have an emergency, call for help. If you have a situation where your power is off and you have an emergency, please call for help. 911 is the first place to call when you have an emergency. But we are working hard to get this power back on. State police was incredibly busy during this snowstorm. There were over 3,800 incidents at the state police level. That excludes the local law enforcement and local sheriffs, yeoman's work in order to respond to issues. We had just under 900 crashes, and disabled motorists totaled 925. Sadly, there were 2 fatal crashes and our hearts pour out for these families. And we had 3 fatalities as a result of those 2 crashes. As we step back, we have to move aggressively when we have an emergency. And again, I want to thank the teams across the Commonwealth for reacting quickly. Our National Guard was pre-positioned. We had 5 National Guard teams that were pre-positioned around the state with equipment ready to go. And I understand the sacrifice that our Virginia National Guardsmen make. They take off work and they serve the Commonwealth, and thank you. We collaborated with local resources incredibly well, and the Emergency Operations Center here has been working around the clock, and so just thanks to everybody around here. We do have another storm coming, and I'll get to that in a minute on how we're preparing for it. I want to spend a few minutes speaking specifically about the interruption of water service in the city of Richmond and the water crisis that ensued following that. We were informed that the water treatment plant had gone down middle afternoon on Monday. My emergency declaration was already in place, and therefore that allowed us to move quickly to move resources and to bring support to the city of Richmond. At the start of this response, the 2 primary needs that we needed to move quickly on were, 1, getting water supplies to the hospitals. And there was a real dire concern that the hospitals in the city of Richmond were going to have to start diverting patients, and even worse, evacuating patients. We were able to bring immediately on 8 large water tankers, and then we have subsequently brought on 2 more, and there are 13 more in motion. So there is substantial water resources available for our hospital systems. That's critically important. They utilize a lot of water to take care of patients and to run their heating units, and so really important. I want to thank again the National Guard for mobilizing. We have 6 guard tanker systems in motion today, and they will be deployed over the course of this afternoon into the evening to make sure that we have bulk water supplies, particularly for our hospital systems. The next big issue, and equally important, was getting water to the citizens of Richmond and in parts of Henrico County. And right out of the box Monday afternoon, we were coordinating with the Regional Incident Command Center and the City of Richmond in order to move pallets of water. And there was a substantial movement quickly in order to fuel and supply the Richmond distribution centers that were opened. And again, I want to thank the entire team. It was not just state supplies, but we were able to tap into now a lot of business partners who have come to work with us. And in fact, after the big initial push to get water into the system, we have redoubled our efforts because this has lasted longer than anybody would have possibly had imagined. And at the end of the day, we now will be moving another 1,300 pallets of water. There's about 460 that, again, were moved this morning. And that is coming from state resources and from many of our business partners. And I just want to stop and thank the business partners across the Commonwealth. We've seen just tremendous support from Walmart, from Amazon, from Publix, from Niagara. These folks, we called them and said, send water. And they opened up their warehouses. We sent trucks, we sent National Guard vehicles, and they brought trucks. And as I said, there's over 1,300 pallets of water that have either arrived or in motion in order to make sure that the citizens of Richmond have the supplies they need. I also want to just touch on the fact that the collaboration from the surrounding counties with the city of Richmond and the state resources has been truly inspiring. The counties of Hanover and Henrico and Chesterfield not only brought to bear all of their expertise in emergency management, but their resources. They all mobilized fire pump trucks in order to make sure that if there was a fire emergency and there was not water available in the city, that in fact the city could react really quickly to those emergencies. The collaboration has continued, and even throughout the day yesterday, as I was speaking with the mayor and of course the city managers and city administrators from each one of those counties, they were all in the EOCs working together in order to address the situation. And then finally, the water treatment station itself. I think first and foremost, when we were informed that it had gone down on Monday afternoon, it's been all hands on deck again. And that has been reaching into corporate partners and literally getting people out of bed and getting them out to this site to get IT fixes around the IT system, to bring engineers and capabilities from other water systems in our surrounding counties and of course our utility partners, and to get this system back up running as quickly as possible. The city of Richmond has been working around the clock. We of course have all seen the ups and downs. I know people are angry and they're frustrated and they're tired. And I think everybody who's been working to try to restore full water service and make sure that people have the supplies that they need understands this. And I think this morning when we had news that the pressure was starting to come back up, that in fact water production at the treatment plants was beginning to work through 80% of the daily average water production, I think we can see that real progress is being made. I want to caution everyone that we've still got a lot of work here, and the city has been very clear that they've got to not only get the pressure fully up, which may take through tonight into tomorrow morning, and then all the testing has to happen in order to make sure that the water is safe. And therefore, I would expect that whole process could lead into Friday at the earliest, before the water is again off of a boil water advisory and everything is beginning to look back to normal. As I said, I know people are angry, and I know that they're tired, and I know that they're frustrated. Listen, we've got 72 school districts across the Commonwealth of Virginia that are out of school again today. The city of Richmond is one of them. Hanover County is one of them. And I know that they're dealing specifically with certain aspects in Henrico. We all want to get back to normal here. And so we're working around the clock to support the city as we get there. And then let me finish with what's coming. There's another storm coming, and we are still under my emergency directive, emergency declaration, and so our resources are still fully available to deploy. This storm will most likely impact, again, almost all of the Commonwealth, just like the one we had. We do expect that the overall participation will be lower than what we've just seen, but let me tell you, weather forecasts change. And I think this is going to be another serious storm. And so we are, one, asking everyone to first stay informed, be prepared, and heed our cautionary messages. Again, thank you all for staying off the roads on Sunday afternoon, Monday and Tuesday. It allowed us to do our jobs and get the roads pre-treated and cleaned up. People will see pre-treatment trucks all over the Commonwealth of Virginia right now as we once again are getting ready for this next storm. Lots of the pre-treatment that we put down over the course of Sunday, Saturday, and Sunday is still there. But we need to make sure that the roads are well protected, and you will see the pre-treatment trucks out once again. But I'm asking folks, stay off the roads on Friday afternoon through Saturday. unless you absolutely have an emergency. Otherwise, stay home. We've got work to do. We want to do it in partnership. We want to work together to keep all Virginians safe. So with that, again, I appreciate everyone giving me a chance to update you on the work over the course of the last really 6 days, and we've got some more work ahead of us, but I'm happy to take a few questions.
Governor, we got pictures coming to the newsroom with places in the city that are charging $53 for a 24-pack of water. What is your message to these people?
Okay, let me first be very, very, very clear. That's illegal. And the Attorney General has stated boldly that they will prosecute price gouging during a state of emergency. I spoke to him yesterday. His team is actively working to gather information on situations like this. And so I, would be very, very clear in my communication to retailers. This is not allowed, it's not right, and it's not the way we do things in Virginia. And I would also be very clear to all of our citizens in Richmond and many who are in the eastern part of Henrico. We've got lots of water that is here, and we want to make sure you can get to it.
Governor, I understand the National Guard is starting to move today. You guys said the water went out Monday. What's been the lag time there and why?
Well, so let me just begin. The National Guard has been present and ready to be deployed. The role of the National Guard is always really important to define. And in this case, starting on Monday afternoon, while the Guard is ready to go, we were informed that the trucks and the pallets and the timing of this return of service was such that we felt that we had full capabilities in place. Over the course of Tuesday, this situation has lasted a lot longer than people originally had thought and informed. And so the Guard's been in motion since last night, and these particular water tankers needed to be positioned from where they are currently stored, and they were moving this morning and in the course of today.
Governor, with the General Assembly back in session, or kind of delayed in session now, do you see an opportunity for lawmakers to maybe take advantage of the budget surplus and revisit infrastructure support for localities during this session?
Well, so to back up, in the budget amendments that I submitted in advance of December, I specifically have earmarked again, and I've done it in previous budgets, and we've funded it, funding for the City of Richmond's combined sewer overflow project. It's a very important project. We also have substantial funding that exists for water treatment plants across the Commonwealth. In this particular circumstance, we have discussed with city leadership and, of course, our neighboring county leadership the after-action report and investigation that's going to be very, very illuminating on what we can do together and what the City of Richmond needs to do in order to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Governor, are you irritated about how Richmond's outage is affecting the Assembly and state government?
Well, everyone is frustrated. And listen, the water supply has been on and off for everybody in the city, including Capitol Square. And the fact that the General Assembly has had to postpone our start is a reality when something like this happens. But let me just be clear. There are a lot more important issues with this water crisis right now. We've got families in the city that don't have any water. We've got young children where mothers are asking, what do I do about baby formula? And so there are real issues that we need to address. The General Assembly and our administration will go to work. We'll get the work of the people done. But what's most important right now is we serve the people in Richmond and the surrounding areas and get this back online. As a side note, on baby formula, on the VDH website, at the top of the website, there is a really, really important and informative fact sheet that helps mothers understand and fathers understand what they can do to boil water, use bottled water to make baby formula out of powder. We wanted to make sure that that was really well understood so that folks, we can get water to you. If you need baby formula, there's access there as well. to make sure that families are well taken care of.
We have time for one more question.
Governor, with the storm coming back this weekend, is there a concern at all that this process of getting citizens back their water is going to kind of jeopardize the process on when we actually see water coming into homes?
If I said no, I'd be wrong. Yes, we're concerned, and that's why we are first supporting the city in all ways possible to get the water supply back online fully as quickly as we can to make sure that all citizens have access to water. And we were also quickly asking the questions, what do we need to do in order to prevent it from happening again? Listen, the city is on point operating this facility. We've got a tremendous amount of resource help from the state that is now resident at the facility, from the surrounding counties that are now resident at the facility, and we've had support from outside contractors who are now at the facility. So job one is to get everything back up and running as it's supposed to be. And while we're at it, we need to make sure that if there's anything we need to do to prevent this from happening again this weekend, this next storm, the team is focused on that as well.
Governor, do you know the number of people who are without water service right now?
I don't. What I do know is there are many. And let's just be clear, there's now 11 distribution sites around the city of Richmond. I know churches are working. If anybody has an opportunity to volunteer to help us, please call the Red Cross because they are mobilizing and we need volunteers. But there are people who don't have water in their homes, don't have the ability to get to where they can access the water distribution sites. And so what I would say to everybody is if you need water, please dial first and foremost 211. This is the statewide emergency response. This is not 911 if you have got a life-threatening emergency, but if you can't get what you need, dial 211. If you're in the city of Richmond, you can dial 311. And either one of those numbers will work, and there's a team immediately there to respond to get people with it.
Thank you all so much.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.